The large alien ship moved slowly through space toward a small blue planet. High Commander Velther stood on the bridge, looking at the screens that showed this new world. His 4 eyes studied the data that his crew had collected. This planet, called Earth, was the 3rd rock from a yellow star, and it had life on it. "Sir, we have finished our scans," said his second officer, Crusade. The creature's voice came through a translator device. "The dominant species appears to be bipedal mammals. They call themselves humans." Velther made a sound that was like a laugh. In his long life, he had seen many species join the Zephyrian Empire. Some joined willingly. Others needed to be convinced. But all of them eventually became part of their great civilization. These humans would be no different. "What is their technology level?" Velther asked, his tail swishing behind him as he walked around the bridge. "Very primitive, sir. They still use chemical rockets to leave their planet. Their weapons are mostly kinetic projectiles and crude explosives. No energy shields, no plasma weapons, no faster-than-light travel." Crusade paused to check his data pad. "They have only recently developed basic nuclear technology." Velther nodded. This was even easier than he had thought. The humans were barely out of their Stone Age compared to the Empire's technology. Their ships could travel between stars in days. Their weapons could destroy entire cities from space. Their shields could stop any attack these primitives could make. "What about their biology?" Velther asked. He always liked to know about the species he was about to add to the Empire. "Interesting, sir. They are persistence hunters, like the Quarthic, but much weaker. They have forward-facing eyes, which is unusual for prey species. Their planet has high gravity and a thick atmosphere. They seem to be adapted for endurance rather than strength or speed." The High Commander looked at the images of humans on his screen. They were small creatures, much smaller than his own species. They had soft skin with no natural armor. No claws, no fangs, no poison. They looked harmless. "Have they responded to our presence yet?" he asked. "Yes, sir. They have sent several radio transmissions toward our scout ships. Mostly questions about who we are and what we want. Very polite, very curious. No signs of aggression or fear." Velther was pleased. Most species either attacked immediately or hid when they first saw the Empire's ships. These humans seemed civilized enough to talk. That would make the integration process much smoother. Far below on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison sat in the command center of the orbital station New Horizon. He had been staring at the same set of data for 3 hours, and it still did not make sense. The objects that had appeared near Jupiter were clearly artificial. They were too regular, too purposeful to be anything else. "Sir, we're getting another transmission from the outer system," said Lieutenant Mary Johnson, the communications officer. She had been working double shifts since the objects appeared. "Put it through," Jake said, rubbing his tired eyes. The voice that came through the speakers was strange, clearly artificial, like a computer trying to sound human. "Greetings, inhabitants of the 3rd planet. We are representatives of the Zephyrian Empire. We have come to offer you membership in our great civilization." Jake looked around the room at his team. Dr. Lisa Parker, their xenobiologist, was taking notes frantically. Colonel Ben Hayes, their military advisor, had his arms crossed and was frowning. Everyone else just looked confused. "This is Captain Morrison of the Earth Defense Force," Jake replied into his microphone. "We welcome contact with your people. Can you tell us more about this empire you mentioned?" There was a pause, then the artificial voice continued. "The Zephyrian Empire spans 12 star systems and includes many species. We bring technology, peace, and prosperity to all who join us. Your species shows potential for useful service within our structure." Dr. Parker leaned over to Jake. "Did they just call us useful for service?" she whispered. Jake nodded grimly. "Continue transmission," he said. "Your planet will be integrated into the Empire. Your people will be relocated to appropriate service. Worlds where they can contribute to the greater good. This process will begin in 30 of your solar days. Resistance is not recommended and will result in pacification protocols." The transmission ended, leaving the command center in silence. Colonel Hayes was the first to speak. "They just gave us an ultimatum. Join or be conquered." "That's what it sounds like," Jake agreed. "Lisa, what's your assessment?" Dr. Parker looked up from her notes. "Based on the language patterns and the casual way they're talking about relocating our entire species, I'd say they've done this before, many times. We're probably just another primitive species to them." Jake activated the emergency communication system. Within minutes, he was connected to leaders around the world. President Amanda Foster appeared on the main screen, along with other world leaders. "Captain Morrison, what's the situation?" President Foster asked. "Madam President, we have a problem. We've made contact with an alien empire, and they're not here to be friends. They want to add Earth to their collection, and they're giving us 30 days to surrender." The president was quiet for a moment. "What are options?" Colonel Hayes stepped forward. "Limited, ma'am. If they have faster-than-light travel, and we don't, they have a huge advantage. But we won't know their full capabilities until we see their main fleet." Back on the alien ship, Velther was reviewing the human response with his officers. The humans had asked for more time to consider the offer. This was normal. Most species needed time to accept their new reality. "Sir, should we send more ships?" "To show our strength?" asked Crystal. "Not yet. Let them think about it. Their leaders seem reasonable. They will see that joining the Empire is their best option." Velther looked at the image of Earth on his screen. "Such a pretty little world. It will make a nice addition to our territory." What Velther did not know was that he had just made the biggest mistake in the Empire's history. He had given humans 30 days to prepare, 30 days to study his ships, 30 days to plan, and humans were very good at planning when their survival was at stake. The countdown had begun. Sub-Commander Krikstal floated in his command pod, watching the primitive human world through his ship's sensors. 25 days had passed since the ultimatum, and the humans were behaving exactly as expected. Their military forces were moving around their planet, but it looked like they were preparing to surrender. "Status report," Krikstal ordered his crew. "The humans have stopped all aggressive action, sir," reported his sensor officer. "No weapons pointed at our ships. No attacks on our monitoring stations. They appear to be reorganizing their industrial capacity." Krikstal made a pleased sound. "Probably preparing to produce goods for the Empire. Smart little creatures. They understand their place." What Krikstal could not see was what was really happening on Earth, in hidden bunkers and underground facilities. Humans were working around the clock, but they were not building goods for the Empire. General Rick Stone stood in the war room, deep beneath the Pentagon, looking at screens that showed activity around the globe. Every major nation was contributing to Operation Ghost Protocol. Factories that once made cars were now building weapons. Computer companies were creating new targeting systems. Even civilian scientists were working on the project. "Status report, Colonel," General Stone said to a young officer. "Sir, production is ahead of schedule. The kinetic penetrator rounds are rolling off the assembly lines. The new targeting computers are being installed on every ship and station. And the special project in Nevada is ready for testing." General Stone nodded. The special project was humanity's biggest gamble. They had captured an alien monitoring device, and Dr. Nina Chun had been studying it for weeks. What she found could change everything. On the other side of the world, Dr. Chun was working in her laboratory. She had not slept properly in days, but she was too excited to rest. The alien technology was amazing, but it had a critical flaw. The energy shields worked by deflecting plasma and laser weapons, she explained to her assistant, Dr. Kevin Brown. But look at this. She pointed to a diagram on her computer screen. The shield generators create a barrier that pushes energy attacks away. But kinetic weapons, bullets, rockets, anything solid, can overload the system if they hit hard enough and fast enough. Dr. Brown looked confused. But why would that matter? Their weapons are so much more advanced than ours. Dr. Chun smiled. For the first time in days. Because they designed their shields to fight other advanced species. Species that use energy weapons. They never expected anyone to still be using primitive kinetic weapons. Meanwhile, Marine Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez was on a very different kind of mission. He was floating in space near one of the alien monitoring stations, wearing a modified spacesuit. His job was to get captured Dot. It was not a mission he enjoyed, but it was necessary. Earth needed to know more about alien technology, and sometimes the best way to learn was to get inside their ships. The alien station detected him easily. A small ship came out and brought him aboard. Sam did not resist. He let them take his weapons and put him in a holding cell. The aliens who captured him were tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. They spoke to each other in clicking, sounds that his translator could not understand. Human, one of them said in broken English. Why are you here? Sam looked at the alien and said nothing. He had been trained for this. The alien made an angry sound and pressed a button on a device. Pain shot through Sam's body, but he gritted his teeth and stayed quiet. The alien looked surprised. This pain setting works on all known species. Alien said to his partner, try a higher setting. More pain, worse than before. Sam felt like his bones were on fire, but he did not scream. He had been through worse in training. The aliens looked at each other with what Sam thought might be confusion. They tried different settings, different types of pain. Sam endured it all. What they did not know was that humans had been torturing each other for thousands of years. They had developed ways to resist that no other species had needed. After several hours, the aliens gave up and put Sam back in his cell. He had learned something important. They were not as tough as they pretended to be. Back on Earth, President Foster was meeting with world leaders through secure video links. The conversation was serious and quiet. The aliens think we're surrendering, she said. Our intelligence suggests they're not bringing their main fleet until after the deadline. They're overconfident. The Chinese premier spoke next. Our factories are producing the new weapons at maximum capacity. But will they be enough? They have to be, replied the Russian president. We have one chance to surprise them. If we fail, there will be no second chance. Admiral Marcus Webb was aboard the carrier U.S. Liberty, hidden behind the moon. Around him, the largest fleet in human history was waiting. Ships from every nation, armed with the new weapons that Dr. Chun had designed. Admiral, his communications. Officer called out. We just received a message from Lieutenant Rodriguez. He's been captured, but he's sending intelligence about alien ship design. Marcus read the report on his tablet. The information was exactly what they needed. The aliens were tough, but they had weaknesses. They were not used to pain. They were not used to enemies who fought back after being hurt. On the alien command ship, High Commander Velther was preparing for the final phase of the integration. Tomorrow was the deadline, and the humans had not responded to their ultimatum. That meant they were accepting their fate. Bring the main fleet out of hyperspace, he ordered. Position them around the planet. We will begin the relocation process immediately after the deadline expires. His officer hesitated. Sir, Should we scan for weapons first? The humans have been very quiet. Velther made a dismissive gesture. They have no weapons that can threaten us. Their technology is centuries behind ours. What could they possibly do? As the alien fleet moved into position around Earth, they were confident and relaxed. They had done this many times before. Primitive species always surrendered when they saw the full might of the Empire. What they did not know was that hidden in asteroid fields, behind moons, and in the shadows of space, stations, human ships were waiting. Ships armed with weapons designed specifically to destroy alien technology. Captain Tony Blake sat in his fighter, watching the alien ships through his targeting system. The new kinetic rounds were loaded and ready. His squadron had been training for this moment for weeks. All units, this is Liberty Command, came the voice of Admiral Webb over the radio. The aliens have taken the bait. They think we're helpless. Tomorrow, we show them what humans do when someone threatens their home. Dr. Chun was in her laboratory, watching the alien fleet on her monitors. She had done the calculations 100 times. The kinetic penetrator rounds should work. The alien shields should fail. But theory and practice were different things. Nina, General Stone said through her communicator. Are you sure about this? As sure as I can be, General. But we'll know for certain in a few hours. Lieutenant Rodriguez was still in his alien cell, but he was not just sitting there. He was studying everything he could see. The walls, the guards, the way the ship operated. He was learning that the aliens were not as strong as they looked. They moved carefully, like they were afraid of getting hurt. They wore thick armor, even inside their own ships. Most importantly, he noticed that they seemed to need rest more often than humans. Every few hours, the guards would change, and the new ones always looked fresh and alert. The old ones looked tired. As the deadline approached, both sides prepared for what was coming. The aliens were confident that tomorrow would be another easy victory. The humans knew it would be the most important fight in their history. Neither side fully understood what they were about to face. The aliens had never fought a species that refused to give up. They had never encountered weapons designed to exploit their weaknesses. They had never met an enemy that would rather die than surrender. The humans had never fought an enemy with such advanced technology. They had never faced weapons that could destroy cities from space. They had never been so completely outnumbered. But humans had one advantage that the aliens did not expect. They had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They knew how to win when the odds were against them. Tomorrow would decide the fate of both species. The deadline had passed. High Commander Velther stood on his bridge, looking at the blue planet below. The humans had not responded to their final warning. It was time to begin the pacification protocols. Begin the energy bombardment, Velther ordered. Target their military installations first. We want to disable their ability to resist, not destroy the workforce. Energy beams shot down from the alien ships toward Earth, but something was wrong. Instead of the easy destruction they expected, the beams were met by return fire. Kinetic. Rounds traveling at incredible speed slammed into the alien ships. Shields holding, reported Velther's tactical officer, but his voice sounded uncertain. But sir, their weapons are causing unusual stress patterns. From his hiding place behind the moon, Admiral Marcus Webb watched the battle begin. The first phase was working. The aliens were confused by humanity's response. All units, this is Liberty Command, he broadcast to the human fleet. Execute Operation Sledgehammer. Show them what kinetic weapons can do. Captain Rachel Stone led her fighter squadron out from behind an asteroid. Her ship was small compared to the alien vessels, but it was fast and hard to target. More importantly, it was armed with the new penetrator rounds that Dr. Chun had designed. Blue Squadron, target the nearest destroyer Rachel ordered. "Hit them with everything we have." The human fighters swarmed around the alien ship like angry bees. Their weapons fired continuously, sending solid projectiles at high speed toward the alien shields. At first, the shields held, but as more and more rounds hit the same spots, cracks began to appear. On the alien ship, panic was beginning to set in. "Sir, the shield generators are overheating," reported the engineer. "These kinetic weapons are causing resonance failures. We need to retreat and recalibrate." But retreat was not an option. More human ships were appearing from hiding spots throughout the solar system. The aliens found themselves surrounded by enemies they had not expected. Commander Tony Blake was leading a boarding party toward a disabled alien vessel. His team wore powered armor and carried weapons designed for close combat. They had trained for this moment, but none of them knew what to expect inside an alien ship. The human assault shuttle punched through the alien ship's hull like a bullet through paper. The aliens had designed their ships to resist energy weapons, not crude kinetic impacts. "Move, move, move," Tony shouted as his team poured into the alien vessel. The corridors were tall and narrow, designed for the thin alien bodies. But humans adapted quickly. The first alien they met was wearing light armor and carrying an energy weapon. The creature fired at Tony, but the human armor absorbed the blast. Tony's return fire, a simple kinetic rifle, punched through the alien's protection like it was made of paper. "Their armor is designed wrong," Tony reported over his radio. "It stops energy, but not bullets. Keep using kinetic weapons." Back on Earth, Dr. Nina Chun was coordinating the technical aspects of the battle from her bunker. She watched the battle reports, coming in with growing excitement. Her theories were working better than she had hoped. "General Stone," she called. "Out. The alien shields are failing faster than predicted. Their energy distribution system can't handle sustained kinetic impact. We can break through their defenses." General Stone smiled grimly. "Good. Phase 2 is ready to begin. Launch the special packages." Throughout the solar system, human cargo ships began releasing their secret cargo. Thousands of small objects, each no bigger than a baseball, scattered in all directions. The alien sensors detected them, but dismissed them as debris. They were wrong. Each object was a kinetic impactor, designed to hit alien ships at high speed. They were too small for the alien weapons to target effectively, but when they hit, they caused significant damage. Lieutenant San Rodriguez was still imprisoned on the alien monitoring station, but the situation had changed. The aliens guarding him were nervous and scared. They kept looking at their communication devices and talking in worried tones. Sam had been observing his captors for days, and he had learned their weaknesses. They were not used to physical pain. They tired easily. Most importantly, they panicked. When things did not go according to plan, when the battle started, the guards became distracted. Sam saw his chance. He had been working on weakening his cell door for days, using a small piece of metal he had hidden. When the guards ran to deal with the crisis, he broke free. The alien station was in chaos. Crew members were running around, trying to coordinate with their fleet. They did not notice one human moving through there. Corridors. Sam found the station's communication center and did something the aliens never expected. He began transmitting human tactical information directly to the alien fleet, but he changed the data to confuse them. Instead of helping, the information made their situation worse. On the main alien command ship, High Commander Velther was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. The humans were not surrendering. They were fighting back with tactics he had never seen before. "Sir, we're receiving conflicting reports from all sectors," his communications officer reported. "Some ships are reporting shield failures. Others are under boarding attack. And we're getting strange tactical data from the monitoring stations." How is this possible? Velther demanded. They are primitives. Their weapons are crude. His tactical officer looked up from his instruments with fear in his large eyes. Sir, I think we misunderstood their technology. Their kinetic weapons are more effective than we calculated. And their tactics. They're not fighting the way civilized species fight. Captain Jake Morrison was aboard the U's Defiance, leading a direct assault on one of the larger alien ships. His vessel was taking heavy damage, but the crew kept fighting. This was exactly the kind of situation humans excelled at. Desperate battles against impossible odds. Direct hit on their main reactor, reported his weapons officer, Lieutenant Dave Miller. Their shields are down to 30%. Keep firing, Jake ordered. Don't give them time to repair. The alien ship tried to retreat, but human fighters had surrounded it. Every time it tried to move, kinetic rounds slammed into its hull. The aliens had never faced an enemy that attacked from all directions at once. Dr. Chun was analyzing the battle data when she noticed something important. General, the aliens are using predictable flight patterns. Their ships move in formation, like they're following a textbook. Our pilots are adapting to their tactics, but they're not adapting to ours. General Stone understood immediately. They've never fought a chaotic battle. They're used to civilized warfare with rules and formations. We need to be more unpredictable. The order went out to all human forces. Abandon standard tactics. Use everything unconventional. The response was immediate and devastating. Human ships began using asteroid fields as weapons, pushing large rocks toward alien vessels. Fighter pilots started ramming attacks, sacrificing their own ships to disable larger alien vessels. Ground-based? Weapons launched everything from modified mining equipment to repurposed construction tools. The aliens had never seen anything like it. In their experience, warfare was conducted between professional militaries using established tactics. They had never fought a species that would use anything and everything as a weapon. Colonel Amy Fisher was leading a desperate boarding action on an alien command ship. Her team had taken heavy casualties, but they kept advancing. The aliens they encountered seemed shocked by human endurance. They keep fighting even when wounded, she heard one alien say to another through her translator. How is this possible? Amy smiled grimly. The aliens were learning what humans were really like. But it was too late for them to change their tactics. As the battle continued, more human reinforcements arrived. Ships that had been hiding throughout the solar system, armed with every weapon humanity could create. The aliens found themselves outnumbered by an enemy they had completely underestimated. High Commander Velther made a decision that no Zephyrian commander had ever made before. Send a retreat signal to all ships. We are withdrawing from this system. But retreat was not easy. Human forces pursued the alien ships, attacking them as they tried to escape. The aliens' faster-than-light drives needed time to charge, and the humans were not giving them that time. By the end of the day, half the alien fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships limped away, carrying news that would shake the entire Zephyrian Empire. On Earth, celebrations began in every major city. Humanity had won its first battle against an alien invasion, but the leaders knew this was just the beginning. They'll be back, President Foster said during an emergency meeting, and next time they'll be ready for our tactics. Admiral Webb nodded. Then we'll have to be ready with new ones. We've shown them that humans don't surrender. Now we have to show them what happens when you threaten our home. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer the primitive species the aliens had expected. They were something much more dangerous, survivors who refused to give up. High Commander Velther stood before the Empire Council, his forearms hanging in shame. The great hall was filled with representatives from 12 different species, all staring at him with varying degrees of anger and disbelief. Explain to. U.S., said Supreme Chancellor Mordok, the ancient leader of the Zephyrian Empire, how a primitive species with chemical rockets defeated half of your fleet. Velthur's translator struggled to find words. Supreme Chancellor, the humans. They fight differently than any species we have encountered. They do not follow the rules of civilized warfare. Rules? The Chancellor's voice rose to a dangerous pitch. You lost ships to primitives, and you speak of rules? War Master Thekvar, leader of the elite Korthic warriors, stepped forward. His massive frame was covered in battle scars from 100 conquests. Give me the Second Fleet, and I will show these humans what real warfare looks like. They caught you off guard once. It will not happen again. The Council agreed. Within days, the largest fleet in Empire history was assembled. 100 ships, armed with the most advanced weapons available. The Empire's best soldiers, trained from birth for combat. This time, there would be no mistakes. On Earth, the celebration was short-lived. Satellite telescopes detected the new alien fleet long before it reached the solar system. This force was 3 times larger than the first one, and the ships looked different. More heavily armored, bristling with weapons. President Foster called an emergency meeting of world leaders. The mood was grim as she addressed the group. Intelligence suggests this new fleet is much more dangerous than the first. They're not making the same mistakes. They know what our weapons can do now. General Stone presented the latest intelligence reports. The lead ship appears to be a Dreadnought-class vessel. Our analysts estimate it could destroy our entire orbital defense network with a single bombardment. Dr. Nina Chun had been working around the clock since the first battle, analyzing captured alien technology. She had made disturbing discoveries. The good news is that we understand their shield technology now, she explained to the assembled leaders. The bad news is that they've probably figured out how to counter our kinetic weapons. We need a new approach. In her laboratory, Dr. Chun worked with her team to develop new weapons. But they were running out of time. The alien fleet would arrive in less than a week. Meanwhile, Colonel Amy Fisher was leading a special mission. Her team had been tasked with capturing an intact alien ship from the previous battle. They needed to understand the enemy's new technology. The alien ship they boarded was damaged but functional. Amy's team moved through the corridors carefully, studying everything they saw. The ship's design was different from the monitoring stations they had seen before. Heavier armor, better weapons, more sophisticated systems. "Colonel," called out Sergeant Mike Turner from the engine room. "You need to see this." Amy joined him at a control panel covered in alien symbols. Mike had connected a human computer to the alien system and was downloading data. "Their new ships have adaptive shielding," Mike explained. "The shields learn from attacks and adjust to counter them. Our kinetic weapons might not work as well this time." Amy felt a chill. If their main advantage was gone, how could they win against a much larger fleet? Engineer Pete Collins was working on a different approach. Instead of trying to punch through alien shields, he was developing weapons that would go around them. Mines that could be deployed in space, waiting for ships to pass nearby. Smart missiles that could change direction after being fired. Anything that might give humans an edge. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez, who had escaped from the alien monitoring station, brought back crucial intelligence about alien psychology. "They're not used to taking casualties," Sam explained to the military leadership. "When their people start dying, they panic. They make mistakes. But more importantly, they're not used to fighting for long periods without rest." Dr. Kate Adams, a military psychologist, was fascinated by Sam's report. "Are you saying they have limited endurance compared to humans?" "Exactly. I watched them for days. They need regular rest cycles. They can't function effectively for more than a few hours without sleep. And when they're tired, they make bad decisions. This information gave the human commanders a new strategy. Instead of trying to win a single decisive battle, they would fight a long campaign designed to exhaust the alien forces. Admiral Laura Banks was put in command of the new strategy. Her plan was simple but brutal. Never let the aliens rest. Attack them continuously, from multiple directions, forcing them to stay alert and active until they collapsed from exhaustion. The alien Second Fleet arrived in the solar system with overwhelming confidence. War Master Thekvar stood on the bridge of his dreadnought, studying the puny human defenses. "They have repositioned their forces," reported his tactical officer, "but their numbers are still insignificant compared to ours." Thekvar made a sound of contempt. "Begin the bombardment. Target their orbital installations first. Show them the power of the Empire." The alien fleet opened fire, but this time the humans were ready. Instead of meeting the attack head-on, human forces scattered and regrouped. They used hit-and-run tactics, striking at the alien fleet from unexpected angles and then disappearing before the aliens could respond effectively. Commander Alex Turner led a squadron of stealth fighters on a night attack against the alien rear guard. His ships were painted black and equipped with noise-dampening systems. They approached the alien fleet like ghosts in the darkness. "Target their sensor arrays," Alex ordered. "Blind them, then get out." The attack was quick and brutal. Human weapons destroyed the aliens' long-range sensors, leaving them unable to detect incoming attacks. By the time the aliens realized what had happened, the human fighters were gone. But the aliens adapted quickly. They began using rotating patrol patterns and overlapping sensor coverage. War Master Thekvar was learning to fight like a human. The battle continued for days. Neither side could gain a decisive advantage. The aliens had superior technology, but the humans had better tactics and unlimited endurance. Dr. Chun made another breakthrough while analyzing battle footage. She noticed that alien ships began making mistakes after extended combat. Their reaction times slowed, their formations became sloppy, their decision-making deteriorated. "They're getting tired," she reported to Admiral Banks, "just like Sam said they would. We need to keep the pressure on." The Admiral smiled grimly. "Understood. All units maintain continuous operations. No breaks, no retreats. Keep hitting them until they crack." The strategy worked better than anyone had hoped. After 72 hours of continuous combat, the alien fleet began to fall apart. Ships collided with each other due to pilot fatigue. Weapons missed their targets because gunners were too tired to aim properly. Communications broke down as exhausted officers made critical errors. War Master Thekvar was experiencing something he had never felt before: desperation. His warriors were the finest in the Empire, but they were being worn down by an enemy that refused to rest. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving distress calls from multiple ships. They're requesting permission to withdraw for rest and repairs." Thekvar wanted to refuse, but he could see the exhaustion in his own crew. They had been fighting for 3 days straight, something that no Zephyrian force had ever done before. "Rotate the fleet," he ordered reluctantly. "Pull back half the ships for rest. The others will maintain the attack." But the humans were waiting for this moment. As soon as the alien fleet split up, human forces attacked the isolated groups. Ships that had separated for rest found themselves surrounded and overwhelmed. Captain Jake Morrison led the assault on one of these groups. His ship, the SCI-FI, had been upgraded with new weapons designed specifically for this battle. "They're trying to retreat," reported his weapons officer. "Should we pursue?" "Negative," Jake replied. "Let them go. We want them to tell the others what happened here." The surviving alien ships regrouped, but their morale was shattered. They had never faced an enemy that could fight continuously for days without rest. The humans seemed to have unlimited energy and determination. High Commander Velther, who had been demoted to a support role, watched the battle from his smaller ship. He could see what War Master Thekvar could not. The humans were winning through sheer persistence. "Sir," he reported to the War Master, "recommend immediate withdrawal. Our forces are combat ineffective due to exhaustion." Thekvar's pride would not let him admit defeat. "We will continue the attack. The Empire does not retreat from primitives." But the decision was taken out of his hands. Ship after ship reported critical failures due to crew exhaustion. The mighty Second Fleet, which had arrived with such confidence, was falling apart. The final blow came when human boarding parties captured 3 alien ships whose crews had literally fallen asleep at their posts. The humans found the alien warriors unconscious in their battle stations, overcome by days of continuous combat. For the first time in Empire history, a Zephyrian fleet was forced to retreat, not because they were outfought, but because they were too tired to continue fighting back as the battered alien ships limped away from Earth. They carried with them a new understanding of human capabilities. The Empire Council chambers had never been so quiet. Supreme Chancellor Mordak stared at the report from War Master Thekvar, reading it for the 3rd time. Around the great circular table, representatives from 12 species sat in stunned silence. 2 fleets, the Chancellor said slowly. "We have lost 2 fleets to a species that still uses chemical rockets." The Vel-Torian representative, a tall creature with crystalline skin, spoke first. "Perhaps we should reconsider our approach. The humans have proven more resilient than expected." High Commander Velther, now stripped of his rank, but kept as an advisor due to his experience with humans, nodded. "Supreme Chancellor, I have been studying their tactics. They do not fight for territory or resources. They fight for survival. This makes them extremely dangerous." Supreme Chancellor Mordak turned his ancient eyes toward the former commander. "Explain?" "When most species face superior force, they surrender to preserve their population. Humans do the opposite. The more desperate their situation becomes, the more dangerous they become. They will sacrifice everything to protect their world." The Korthok War Master, Thekvar, entered the chamber. His once proud bearing was replaced by something the Council had never seen before: fear. "The humans have done something unprecedented," Thekvar reported. "They have reversed the flow of battle. Instead of defending their world, they are now attacking our positions throughout the outer system." On Earth, Admiral Lara Banks stood in the command center of the newly constructed orbital fortress. Through the viewing ports, she could see the construction of dozens of new warships. Human industry had shifted completely to war production, and the results were impressive. "Admiral," called Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to fleet captain, "we've received confirmation. The human expeditionary force has successfully captured the alien base on Europa." Lara smiled. The humans were no longer just defending Earth. They were taking the fight to the enemy. Commander Alex Turner led the assault on the Europa base. His team had been studying alien technology for months, learning to use their own weapons against them. The base fell in 6 hours, something that should have been impossible. "The aliens fight well when they have the advantage," Alex reported to his superiors. "But when they're surprised or outnumbered, they fold quickly. They're not used to being the underdogs." Dr. Nina Chun had made the breakthrough that changed everything. Working with captured alien technology, she had not only learned to replicate their weapons, but to improve them. Human-built energy weapons were now more powerful than the originals. The key was understanding their power distribution systems. She explained to President Foster during a secure briefing. "They design everything for efficiency and safety. We design for maximum output, even if it's dangerous." The president looked concerned. "Dangerous how?" "Our weapons have a higher chance of exploding when they malfunction. But they also hit harder and penetrate deeper than anything the aliens have ever seen. We're trading safety for power. This perfectly represented the human approach to warfare. Where aliens built weapons that were safe and reliable, humans built weapons that were devastating, even if they were dangerous to use. Engineer Pete Collins had taken this philosophy to its extreme. His team had developed weapons that the aliens considered impossible. Kinetic rounds that could punch through any known armor, energy beams that overloaded alien shields, and most terrifying of all, biological weapons. The biological warfare program was Dr. Kate Adams' project. She had discovered that the sterile environments aboard alien ships made them vulnerable to Earth bacteria and viruses. They've never developed immunity to biological threats, she explained to the military leadership. A simple cold virus could disable an entire alien crew. General Stone approved the program, despite the ethical concerns. If they want to conquer our world, they need to understand what humans are capable of when their survival is threatened. The first use of biological warfare came during the battle for the asteroid mining station. Human forces released modified bacteria into the alien ship's air supply. Within hours, the entire crew was incapacitated. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez, now promoted to captain, led the boarding party that captured the ship. They found alien warriors lying helpless in their beds, overcome by organisms that would barely affect a human child. It's not just that they're weak against our diseases, Sam reported. They have no concept of biological warfare. They don't even have protective equipment for it. The news of humanity's biological weapons spread through the alien fleet like wildfire. For the first time in Empire history, alien crews began to fear boarding actions. The idea that humans could disable them without firing a shot was terrifying, but humans were not finished. Sergeant Mike Turner had developed something even more disturbing: psychological warfare. Working with captured alien communications equipment, Mike's team began broadcasting human music, human voices, and human battle footage directly to alien ships. The content was designed to be as alien and disturbing as possible to non-human minds. They're not used to chaotic sensory input, Mike explained. Human music, especially heavy metal and punk rock, causes actual physical discomfort to most alien species, and our battle footage shows them things they've never seen before. The psychological warfare proved devastatingly effective. Alien crews began reporting nightmares, anxiety attacks, and complete breakdowns after exposure to human broadcasts. Some ships had to withdraw from combat simply because their crews could no longer function. War Master Ikvar watched his forces crumble from within his command ship. The humans had found ways to attack that no civilized species had ever considered. They struck at the body with diseases, at the mind with disturbing images and sounds, and at the soul with their relentless refusal to surrender. "Sir," his communications officer reported, voice shaking, "3 more ships are requesting permission to retreat. Their crews are compromised." Ekvar felt something he had never experienced before, the desire to surrender. But surrender was not an option for a Korthak warrior. The final battle came when humans launched their first interstellar attack. A fleet of human ships, equipped with captured alien faster-than-light drives, struck at a Zephyrian supply base 2 star systems away. Admiral Marcus Webb commanded the human fleet from the flagship U.E.'s Victory. The ship was a hybrid of human and alien technology, armed with weapons that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. "Target the supply depot," Marcus ordered. "Show them that nowhere is safe from human retaliation." The attack was swift and brutal. Human fighters swarmed through the alien base, using tactics that confused and terrorized the defenders. They fought in 3 dimensions, used debris as weapons, and employed boarding tactics that no alien force could counter. Captain Rachel Stone led her squadron through the space dock. destroying alien ships before they could launch. Her pilots flew with a reckless courage that amazed even their human comrades. "They're trying to ram us," reported one of her wingmen as an alien ship flew directly toward them. "Let them try," Rachel replied, spinning her fighter away at the last second. "They're not used to pilots who aren't afraid to die. The alien base fell in 4 hours." For the first time, the Zephyrian Empire had lost territory to an enemy force. The implications were staggering. Supreme Chancellor Mordak called for an emergency council session. The mood was desperate, as reports came in from across the Empire. Human raids were spreading panic among civilian populations. Client species were beginning to question their loyalty to the Empire. "The humans have changed the nature of warfare itself," reported the intelligence chief, a spider-like creature with compound eyes. "They use tactics that violate every convention of civilized conflict. What do you recommend?" The Chancellor asked. "Immediate ceasefire negotiations. The humans have proven they cannot be conquered by conventional means." War Master Vic Var disagreed. "A tactical withdrawal, perhaps, but not surrender. The Empire has never surrendered to anyone." High Commander Velther stood slowly. "With respect, War Master, the Empire has never faced humans before. They are not like other species. They do not follow our rules because they never agreed to them." The debate continued for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. For the first time in its history, the Zephyrian Empire would have to negotiate with an enemy as an equal. Ambassador Dan Cooper received the alien transmission while aboard the diplomatic ship Hughes Harmony. The message was brief and to the point. The Zephyrian Empire requested an immediate ceasefire and negotiations. "They want to talk," Dan reported to President Foster. "After everything they've put us through, now they want to negotiate." The president's response was swift. "Tell them, our terms are simple. Complete withdrawal from our solar system, recognition of human territorial sovereignty, and they pay for the reconstruction of everything they damaged." The negotiations took place on a neutral space station, hastily constructed in the asteroid belt between Earth and Jupiter. Representatives from both sides met under heavy security. Ambassador Cooper faced Supreme Chancellor Mordak across a table that had been designed to accommodate both human and alien physiology. The difference between the two species was immediately apparent. The Chancellor was tall and elegant, with the bearing of someone who had never faced real adversity. Cooper was.
The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. No one had heard from the Galactic Alliance colony on Proxima Centauri b for 3 weeks. The silence worried many in the Alliance headquarters. Proxima Centauri was their farthest colony, a brave new settlement of 50,000 beings from across the galaxy. They should have sent their weekly report by now. "We must send someone to check," said Grand Minister Zalthor, his 4 arms moving in worried patterns as he addressed the Alliance Council. "This is not like them." The Council agreed, though they did not think it was a big problem. "Probably just a broken communication system," they said. "Nothing to worry too much about." Ambassador Zelmore was chosen to lead a small team to visit the colony and fix any problems. Zelmore was an experienced diplomat with blue skin and silver eyes. He had helped bring 3 new species into the Alliance in his long career. He was respected by all. His team included 10 others, security guards, tech experts, and medical staff. They left the next day on a small, fast ship called the Starwing. The Tier journey to Proxima Centauri took 5 days. As they approached the planet, Zelmore tried to contact the colony. "Proxima Colony, this is Ambassador Zelmore of the Galactic Alliance. Please respond." No answer came. They tried again and again. Nothing. "Something is wrong," said Mira, the ship's pilot. Her antenna twitched nervously. "I'm not picking up any of the usual signals from the colony." When they entered orbit, they saw why. The colony was in ruins. Buildings were broken and burning. No movement could be seen on the ground. The team looked at each other with horror in their eyes. "We need to land and search for survivors," Zelmore said. his voice heavy with dread. They landed their ship near what was once the colony's main square. As they stepped outside, the smell hit them first. The smell of smoke, burned materials, and death. They covered their faces with breathing masks and moved forward. The colony had been attacked. That much was clear. Bodies lay in the streets, some burned beyond recognition. Buildings were crushed or torn apart. Vehicles were upside down and broken. "Who could have done this?" whispered Drex, one of the security guards. His scaled hand rested on his weapon as his eyes scanned the ruins. They moved carefully through the destroyed colony. Hours passed. They found no one alive until they heard a sound from beneath a fallen wall. Working together, they lifted the debris to find a small group of survivors hiding in a basement. There were 7 of them, 6 colonists and a child. They were hungry, thirsty, and afraid. The team gave them water and food. "What happened here?" Zelmore asked gently. A woman named Lyra spoke. Half her face was covered in burns. "The Kresnars came," she said, her voice raspy. 3 huge ships appeared without warning. They bombed us from space, then landed soldiers who killed everyone they found. The team looked at each other in shock. The Kresnars were a warrior race, from the outer rim of the galaxy. They were known to be aggressive, but they had never attacked an Alliance colony before. "When did this happen?" asked Zelmore. 18 days ago, Lyra said. "They stayed for 5 days killing and destroying. Then most of them left. But some still patrol the ruins. They said no one would come for us, that we were too far away, that the Alliance had forgotten us. We need to get these people to safety and report back to the Alliance," said Caro, the team's medical officer, as she treated the survivors' injuries. Zelmore nodded. "Let's move quickly. The longer we stay, the more danger we're in." They were, helping the survivors toward their ship when the shooting began. Blasts of energy hit the ground around them. One hit Drex in the back. He fell without a sound. "Take cover," shouted Tamar, the security leader. The team scattered, pulling the survivors behind fallen walls and broken vehicles. Kresnar warriors appeared from the ruins. They were large, with gray-green skin and natural armor plates covering their bodies. Each carried a powerful energy rifle and wore a cruel expression. "Alliance weaklings," one of them called out. "You should not have come here. This world belongs to the Kresnar Empire now." Tamar and the other security guards fired back, but they were outnumbered. One by one, they fell to the Kresnar's weapons. Zelmore watched in horror as his team was cut down. "Run for the ship," he ordered the survivors. "We'll cover you." Lyra and the others made a dash for the Starwing while the remaining team members fired at the Kresnars. But as they reached the ship, more Kresnars appeared from behind it. They had been waiting, knowing the team would try to escape. The survivors were gunned down before they could board. Zelmore felt a burning pain in his side as a blast hit him. He fell to his knees. The Kresnar leader walked up to him, towering over the fallen ambassador. "Tell your alliance that this is just the beginning," the Kresnar said. "The outer colonies will fall one by one, and there's nothing you can do to stop us." The Kresnar raised his weapon to finish Zelmore, but another called out. "Leave him, Commander Vex. Let him crawl back to his ship if he can. Let him die slowly. Let him know what it feels like to be abandoned." The Kresnars laughed and walked away, leaving Zelmore bleeding in the dust. With great effort, he dragged himself toward the Starwing. Everyone else was dead. He was alone. Inside the ship, he managed to reach the communication system. His vision was getting dark around the edges. He knew he didn't have much time. "This is Ambassador Zelmore." He gasped into the transmitter. "Proxima Centauri colony, destroyed by Kresnar forces. All colonists, all my team, dead or dying. The Kresnars plan to attack other outer colonies. Send help. Send." He couldn't finish. The pain was too great. The distress call went out, beaming across the stars. Zelmore slumped in his chair, his eyes closing. He thought of the dead colonists, of his fallen team. He thought of the Alliance worlds that might be next. His last thought before unconsciousness took him was that help would come too late. The Alliance Council would debate, discuss, and delay. By the time they acted, more colonies would be lost. What he didn't know was that his distress call had been picked up not just by the Alliance but by Earth, a planet of humans who had only recently joined the galactic community. And unlike the Alliance, they would not wait to act. On the Earth Defense Force vessel Thunderchild, Captain Eric Donovan listened to the broken distress call with growing anger. "How far is Proxima Centauri from our position?" he asked his navigation officer. 4 days at maximum speed, sir." Captain Donovan nodded. "Set course immediately, and get me Earth Command. Tell them we need every ship they can spare." As the Thunderchild changed course, Donovan looked at the stars through the view screen. Earth was still new to the Alliance, still learning the rules of galactic politics. But there was one rule humans had always followed long before they reached the stars. You don't leave allies to die. The Krasnars had left the colonists for dead. They would soon learn their mistake. Earth's warriors were coming, through fire and fury. Captain Eric Donovan stood on the bridge of the Thunderchild, his face grim as he watched the stars streak by outside. His ship was racing toward Proxima Centauri at maximum speed. The distress call from Ambassador Zelmore played again in his mind. "A colony destroyed, people left to die, an enemy planning more attacks." "Sir, we have Earth Command responding to our message," said Samantha Miller, the communications officer. Her fingers moved quickly over her console. "Put them through," Donovan ordered. The main screen flickered, and the face of Admiral Linda Reyes appeared. She was in her 50s with short gray hair and stern eyes that had seen many battles during Earth's troubled past. "Captain Donovan, I've reviewed the distress signal you forwarded," she said. "This is a serious situation." "Yes, Admiral. Request permission to proceed to Proxima Centauri at full speed. We may be able to save survivors or at least gather intelligence on these Krasnar attackers." Admiral Reyes nodded. "Permission granted, Captain. But you will not go alone. I'm mobilizing the Third Fleet. 20 ships will join you at Proxima Centauri within 6 days. Donovan's eyes widened. 20 ships was a massive response. "Thank you, Admiral. But what about the Alliance? Shouldn't we wait for their approval?" Reyes's expression hardened. "The Alliance Council is still debating how to respond. They want to send diplomats to meet with the Krasnar leadership. They want to understand why this happened before they act." "People are dying while they talk," Donovan said. "Exactly. Earth remembers how the Alliance helped us during our darkest times. The resource wars nearly destroyed our planet. Alliance aid saved millions of lives. We do not forget our debts, Captain. We will help now, with or without their permission." Within hours, news of the attack spread across Earth. The response was immediate and powerful. Veterans of Earth's military forces volunteered to return to service. Factories increased production of weapons and supplies. From across the planet, a single message rang out: "We will not let allies face this threat alone." Admiral Reyes stood before the assembled captains of the Third Fleet. The 20 ships represented Earth's finest. Some were large battleships with powerful weapons. Others were fast cruisers built for speed and surprise attacks. All were staffed by crews ready to fight. "What we face is an enemy who believes they can attack peaceful colonies without consequences," Reyes told them. "They believe the distance between worlds will protect them from justice. They are wrong." The captains nodded in agreement. "Our ships will arrive at Proxima Centauri in 6 days. Captain Donovan and the Thunderchild will arrive in 2 days. Until then, we prepare. Study everything we know about the Krasnars. Learn their strengths and weaknesses. Plan for all possibilities." As the fleet prepared, a smaller, faster mission was already underway. Lieutenant Jack Foster led a 6-person team of Navy SEALs on the stealth ship Shadowhawk. Their ship was small and built with the newest technology to avoid detection. "Our mission is simple," Foster told his team as they studied maps of the Proxima Centauri colony. "We get in, find any survivors, gather intelligence about the enemy, and get out. The Thunderchild will arrive shortly after us, with the fleet to follow." His team was the best Earth had to offer. Olivia Cruz was the demolitions expert, able to build or disable any explosive device. Ryan Kelly was the sniper, quiet and precise. Daniel Powell was the medic, skilled at treating any injury. Allison Wright was the tech specialist who could hack into any system. Ben Harper was their communications officer, responsible for keeping them connected to Earth forces. "What do we know about these Krasnars?" asked Cruz, studying the limited information they had. "Not much," Foster admitted. "They're from the outer rim of the galaxy. They have a warrior culture and have conquered several non-alliance worlds. They're physically strong with natural armor, but they've never fought humans before." "Then they're in for a surprise," Kelly said with a grim smile. The Shadow Hawk traveled faster than any normal ship could. It used special engines that bent space in ways the Alliance had never mastered. Earth had kept some of its best technology secret, even from its allies. Back on Earth, preparations continued. The Joint Chiefs of Staff met with world leaders to explain the situation. "This will not be a short conflict," General Aaron Scott told them. "The Krasnars have shown they want to expand their territory. They see the outer colonies as easy targets. If they are not stopped now, more worlds will fall." "And the Alliance?" asked the President. "What is their position?" "They are still talking," Scott replied with clear frustration. "Some members want action, others fear escalation. They've been at peace so long they've forgotten how to fight." "Earth has not forgotten," the President said. "We authorize whatever resources the military needs to respond to this threat." As the Shadow Hawk neared Proxima Centauri, Lieutenant Foster gathered his team for final preparations. "We enter the system under complete stealth," he said. "We'll use the asteroid belt for cover and approach the planet from its dark side. No communications, no active scans. We go in quiet." The ship slipped into the Proxima Centauri system like a ghost. Their sensors, on passive mode only, detected a large Krasnar battlecruiser in orbit around the colony world. "They're still here," Cruz whispered, looking at the image on their screen. "Big ship, heavy weapons, at least 1,000 troops on board based on its size." "They think they're safe," Foster said. "They don't expect anyone to respond so quickly. That's our advantage." The Shadowhawk landed 3 kilometers from the main colony under cover of darkness. The team moved out, wearing combat suits that helped them blend into the shadows. Each carried weapons designed for stealth, silent and deadly. As they approached the ruins of the colony, they saw Krasnar patrols moving through the streets. The alien warriors were tall and powerful, with gray-green skin and natural armor plates. They carried energy rifles and moved with confident arrogance. "They're not even being careful," Kelly observed through his scope. "No proper perimeter, no motion sensors. They don't expect resistance." Foster nodded. "We move through section by section. Look for survivors first, then gather intel on their operations." The team slipped through the ruins, avoiding Krasnar patrols. They found signs of the massacre everywhere: buildings destroyed, vehicles burned, bodies left unburied. The Krasnars had been thorough in their attack but careless in its aftermath. In the basement of what had once been the colony's medical center, they found the first survivors. A group of 15 colonists of various species huddled in darkness, afraid and hungry. "We're from Earth," Foster told them, offering water and food. "We're here to help." One of the survivors, a thin alien with 4 arms, looked at them with surprise. "Humans? The Alliance sent humans?" "The Alliance didn't send us," Foster replied. "Earth did. We received Ambassador Zelmore's distress call." "Zelmore?" the survivor asked. "He was here, but the Krasnars attacked his team. We thought all were killed." "Do you know where his ship landed?" asked Wright. "He might have made it back there." The survivor pointed east, near the main square. "But that area is heavily patrolled now." Foster made a decision. "Powell, stay here with the survivors. Keep them safe and treat any injuries. The rest of us will check the ambassador's ship. If he's alive, we need to find him." As they moved toward the main square, the true challenge of their mission was about to begin. Not only did they need to find and rescue survivors, but soon they would face the Krasnar warriors in combat. And for the first time, the galaxy would learn what happened when Earth's warriors fought to protect their allies. Orbiting above them, the Krasnar battlecruiser remained unaware of their presence. Its commander believed the colony was secured, the Alliance too far away and too slow to respond. He did not know that Captain Donovan and the Thunderchild were less than a day away, with the full might of Earth's Third Fleet close behind. The Krasnars had left the colonists for dead. Earth was coming to prove them wrong. Lieutenant Foster and his team moved carefully through the ruins of the colony toward the main square. The night was dark, with only the light of the planet's 3 small moons showing their way. They kept low, using broken walls and burned vehicles. For cover. 2 Krasnar guards ahead, Kelly whispered, looking through his night vision scope. They're standing by what looks like a landing pad. Foster nodded. That must be where Zelmore's ship is. We need to get closer without being seen. Cruz pointed to a collapsed building nearby. We can use that drainage pipe to get around them. The team crawled through the narrow pipe, their combat suits getting covered in dirt and ash. When they emerged on the other side, they could see a small ship. It was damaged but mostly intact. That's an Alliance diplomatic vessel, Wright said. Has to be Zelmore's ship. Kelly, watch our backs, Foster ordered. Cruz with me, Wright and Harper circle around to the right and be ready to provide cover fire if needed. The team split up, moving like shadows through the ruins. Foster and Cruz approached the ship from behind, avoiding the Krasnar guards' line of sight. They reached the rear hatch, which was partially open. Someone forced their way in, Cruz noted, examining the damaged door. Inside, the ship was dark. Foster activated a small light on his wrist, keeping it dim. They moved through the narrow corridors until they reached the cockpit. There, slumped in the pilot's chair, was a blue-skinned alien with silver eyes. His clothes were stained with dried blue blood. Ambassador Zelmore? Foster whispered, approaching slowly. The alien's eyes fluttered open. He tried to reach for a weapon, but he was too weak. It's okay, Foster said quickly. We're from Earth. We're here to help. Zelmore stared at them in confusion. Humans? How did you get here so quickly? The Alliance Council would still be debating. We didn't wait for the Council, Cruz explained as she helped Foster check the ambassador's wounds. We received your distress call and came immediately. The ambassador had a severe energy weapon burn on his side. It had stopped bleeding but was badly infected. Foster called Powell on his secure communicator. We found the ambassador. He's alive, but injured. We need to get him back to the medical center. Understood, Powell replied. I've stabilized the survivors here, but we have a problem. Krasnar patrols are increasing. They might be looking for us. Foster made a quick decision. We'll bring the ambassador to you. Then we need to find out what the Krasnars are planning. They carefully moved Zelmore onto a makeshift stretcher. As they left the ship, Wright's voice came through their communicators. Lieutenant, we have movement. A lot of it. At least 20 Krasnars heading this way. They must be changing guards, Harper added. We need to move now. Foster and Cruz carried the ambassador while Kelly provided cover. They had almost reached the drainage pipe when one of the Krasnar guards spotted them. Intruders, the guard shouted, raising his weapon. Kelly fired first. His silent rifle sent a small dart into the guard's neck, finding the gap between armor plates. The Krasnar fell without making another sound, but the second guard had already activated an alarm. Run, Foster ordered. They raced through the pipe as energy blast hit the ground around them. On the other side, Wright and Harper were waiting to cover their escape. This way, Wright said, leading them through a narrow alley. Behind them, they could hear the Krasnars shouting orders. Searchlights began to sweep the ruins. They know we're here now, Cruz said as they ran. They reached the medical center just as 3 Krasnar patrol vehicles roared past on a nearby street. Powell had the survivors ready to move. The ambassador needs immediate treatment, Foster told Powell as they placed Zelmore on a medical bed. Powell examined the wound and gave Zelmore a pain-relieving injection. I can stabilize him, but he needs proper medical care soon. While Powell worked, Foster gathered his team. The Krasnars will be searching the entire colony now. We need a new plan. Sir, Harper said, I was monitoring their communications. They're talking about a cleansing operation scheduled to begin tomorrow. I think they're planning to destroy any remaining structures and eliminate any survivors they find. We need to get these people out now, Cruz said. Foster nodded. But we also need to know more about their plans. If they're attacking other colonies, we need that information. Wright pointed to a large building on her tactical display. That's the colony's main control center. The Krasnars seem to be using it as their headquarters. If we could get in there, I might be able to access their systems. It would be heavily guarded, Kelly warned. Yes, but it's our best chance to get the intelligence we need, Foster said. Here's what we'll do. Wright, Harper, and I will try to infiltrate their headquarters. Cruz, Kelly, and Powell will get the survivors and the ambassador to the Shadowhawk. If we're not back in 3 hours, leave without us. Cruz started to object, but Foster stopped her. That's an order. The survivors and the information we've already gathered need to reach Earth. Zelmore, who had been listening, spoke weakly. Lieutenant, why are you risking so much for us? The Alliance has barely accepted humans into our community. Foster looked at the injured ambassador. Because that's what humans do. We don't abandon allies, even new ones. The team divided their supplies. Foster, Wright, and Harper took only what they needed for their infiltration mission. The others prepared to move the survivors. Be careful, Powell told Foster as they parted. Those Krasnars are big. Foster grinned. Big targets are easier to hit. As Foster's group moved toward the Krasnar headquarters, they saw more enemy patrols, searching the ruins. Alarms were sounding throughout the colony. The Krasnars knew they were no longer alone with their victims. At the edge of the colony's main control center, they stopped to observe. Krasnar guards stood at every entrance. Lights blazed from the windows. Inside, they could see the shadows of many Krasnars moving about. There's no way we can sneak past all of them, Harper whispered. Foster studied the building carefully. We don't need to. Look at that power conduit. It leads to an underground maintenance area. Most species don't guard their maintenance tunnels well. Wright checked her scanner. I'm detecting only one life form in that section. Probably an engineer. Then that's our way in, Foster decided. They moved to a service hatch half hidden by debris. Wright used her tools to bypass the lock. Inside was a narrow tunnel filled with pipes and cables. Stay close, Foster whispered as they entered. They crawled through the cramped space until they reached a junction room. A single Krasnar was there, working on a control panel. The alien was so focused on his work that he didn't notice them until Foster was right behind him. A quick strike rendered the Krasnar unconscious. Tie him up, Foster ordered Harper. Wright, see what you can learn from that terminal. Wright connected her device to the Krasnar system. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she bypassed security measures. I'm in, she said after a few minutes. And it's worse than we thought. The Krasnars aren't just attacking random colonies. They have a plan to take control of the entire outer rim. Proxima Centauri was just the first step. Can you download their attack plans? Foster asked. Wright nodded, copying files to her device. Got them. But there's something else. They've called for reinforcements. 2 more battle cruisers are on their way here. They'll arrive in less than a day. Then we need to warn Captain Donovan, Foster said. He's flying into a trap. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the building. The unconscious Krasnar engineers. Life signs must have triggered an alert. We've been discovered, Harper said, drawing his weapon. Foster looked at Wright. Do you have what we need? She nodded, disconnecting her device. All of it. Then let's go. Back the way we came. As they retreated into the maintenance tunnel, they could hear Krasnar soldiers shouting behind them. The first direct confrontation between humans and Krasnars was about to begin, and the fate of not just this colony, but possibly the entire outer rim, hung in the balance. Foster, Wright, and Harper crawled through the maintenance tunnel as fast as they could. Behind them, they heard Krasnar soldiers smashing through doors and shouting orders. They're gaining on us, Harper warned, glancing back. They reached a junction where the tunnel split in 3 directions. Which way? Wright asked, breathing hard. Foster made a quick decision. All of us going the same way makes us easy to track. We split up and meet at the extraction point. Wright, you have the data. That makes you the priority. Harper and I will create distractions. Wright nodded, though she looked worried. Be careful. See you at the ship, Foster said with confidence he didn't fully feel. Then he spoke into his communicator. Cruz, this is Foster. Change of plans. We've been discovered and are separating. Wright has vital intelligence and is heading to the extraction point. Harper and I are creating diversions. Understood, Cruz replied. We've got the survivors moving toward the ship now. Kelly is setting up sniper positions to cover your retreat. They split up at the junction, each taking a different path. Foster moved quickly through his tunnel until he found an access panel that led to a storage room. He could hear Krasnar soldiers in the hallway outside. Instead of hiding, Foster did something unexpected. He opened the door and stepped directly into the hallway, facing 3 surprised Krasnar warriors. Looking for me? He asked. The Krasnars raised their weapons, but Foster was faster. He threw a small device that stuck to the ceiling and released a blinding flash. While the Krasnars were stunned, Foster attacked. He didn't try to match their strength. Instead, he used their size against them, knocking the first one off balance so it crashed into the second. The third fired its weapon, but Foster had already moved, the energy blast hitting the wall behind where he had stood. Foster rolled under the Krasnar's aim and placed a small explosive charge on its leg armor. He dove away as the charge detonated, not destroying the armor but cracking it and making the Krasnar howl in pain. Foster didn't stay to finish the fight. His goal was to draw attention, not to defeat all enemies. Humans! The Krasnar shouted, into its communicator. The intruders are humans. Foster ran down the corridor, making sure to be seen by security cameras. He wanted the Krasnars to focus on him, giving Wright time to escape with the valuable data. Across the complex, Harper was creating his own distraction. He had found the power control room and was systematically overloading systems, causing blackouts and alarms to trigger randomly throughout the building. What are these humans doing? A Krasnar commander demanded as reports came in from all directions. Find them! Kill them all! Wright, meanwhile, had exited the tunnel system a kilometer away from the control center. She moved through the ruins, avoiding patrols heading toward the extraction point where the Shadowhawk waited. In orbit above the planet, a new ship appeared. The Thunderchild had arrived. Captain Donovan stood on his bridge looking at the sensor readings of the Krasnar battlecruiser. Their shields are down, his tactical officer reported. They aren't expecting company. Keep our distance for now, Donovan ordered. Any word from Lieutenant Foster's team? Nothing yet, sir, Miller replied from communications. But there's increased activity on the surface. The Krasnars are scrambling troops. They've been discovered, Donovan realized. Prepare landing. Crafts. We need to extract that team. On the surface, Cruz and Powell had reached the Shadowhawk with the survivors and Ambassador Zelmore. Kelly was positioned on a rooftop overlooking the approach to the ship, his rifle ready. Foster, Harper, Wright, what's your status? Cruz called over the secure channel. Almost to the extraction point, Wright answered, her voice tense. But I've got at least 10 Krasnars behind me. I'm heading to you now, Kelly responded. I'll provide cover. Foster and Harper didn't respond. Their diversions had worked too well. Both were now surrounded by enemy forces. Harper had been cornered in the power control room by 6 Krasnar warriors. He had sealed the door, but they were cutting through it with energy torches. This might be it for me, he said into his communicator when he finally had a chance to respond. But I've set the main reactor to overload. When it blows, it'll take out half their command structure. Foster had led his pursuers on a wild chase through the complex, but now he was trapped on the top floor with Krasnars coming up the stairs. I'm cut off too, he reported. Right, are you clear? Almost, she replied. I can see the ship, but there's open ground between me and it. I'll be exposed. Go now, Kelly told her. I'll cover you. Wright took a deep breath and ran from her hiding place. Immediately, Krasnar soldiers spotted her and opened fire. Energy. Blasts hit the ground around her as she zigzagged toward the ship. Kelly's rifle cracked again and again. Each shot found a gap in Krasnar armor. 3 enemy soldiers fell, then 2 more. But there were too many of them. Just as it seemed Wright wouldn't make it, the sky lit up with fire. Landing crafts from the Thunderchild roared overhead, their weapons blazing. The Krasnars scattered for cover as Earth's forces joined the battle. "This is Captain Donovan to all ground forces," a voice announced over their communicators. "Hold on, the cavalry has arrived." Crews lowered the ramp of the Shadowhawk as Wright sprinted the final distance. More landing crafts touched down nearby, disgorging squads of Earth soldiers who immediately engaged the Krasnars. "We need to extract Foster and Harper," Wright gasped as she reached the ship. "Already on it," Cruz said, pointing to a tactical display. "Team 2 is heading for Harper, Team 3 for Foster." In the Krasnar Control Center, Foster had made his last stand in a communications room. He had barricaded the door, but the Krasnars were about to break through. Then he heard something new. Human voices and weapons fire from the other side of the door. "Lieutenant Foster?" a voice called. "This is Sergeant Adams, Earth Defense Force. We're here to get you out." The rescue team breached the room from an adjacent corridor, catching the Krasnars in a crossfire. Foster joined them, grabbing a spare weapon. "Thanks for the save," he said to Adams, "but we still need to get Harper." "Too late for that," Adams replied grimly, showing Foster his tactical display. The power center was now engulfed in flames, but at that moment, Harper's voice came through their communicators. "Don't write me off yet. I found a maintenance shaft. I'm outside the building." Foster grinned. "That's why you always have a backup plan." Above the planet, the battle had moved to space. The Krasnar battlecruiser had raised its shields and was engaging the Thunderchild. But Donovan had surprised them, getting in the first shots before they were fully ready. "Sir," Miller called from communications, "Admiral Reyes reports the fleet will arrive in 6 hours. We just need to hold them until then," Donovan replied, as his ship shook from a Krasnar energy blast. On the surface, Foster's team and Harper regrouped at the Shadowhawk. The Earth Defense Force soldiers had established a perimeter, holding back the Krasnar ground troops. "We need to get this intelligence back to the fleet," Foster told Captain Donovan via communicator. "The Krasnars have called for reinforcements. 2 more battlecruisers are on the way." "Understood," Donovan replied. "Get your ship in the air. We'll cover you." As the Shadowhawk lifted off with the rescued survivors, Foster looked down at the battle below. For the first time, the Krasnars were facing an enemy that fought back with skill and determination, an enemy that didn't abandon its allies. The real battle for Proxima Centauri was about to begin. The Shadowhawk docked with the Thunderchild as the space battle continued. Foster and his team quickly moved the survivors to the larger ship's medical bay. Ambassador Zelmore was placed in an advanced treatment pod that began healing his infected wounds. "Your ship's medical technology is impressive," Zelmore said weakly to Foster. "The Alliance doesn't have anything this advanced on most of our vessels." "Earth keeps some technologies to itself," Foster explained. "Old habits from before. We joined the Alliance." Captain Donovan entered the medical bay, his uniform showing signs of the ongoing battle. "Lieutenant, I need that intelligence you recovered." Wright handed over her data device. The Krasnars planned to take the entire outer rim. Proxima Centauri was just the first step. "And sir, 2 more of their battlecruisers are on the way." Donovan nodded grimly. "We detected them on long-range sensors. They'll be here in 3 hours. Admiral Reyes and the fleet won't arrive for 5. "So we're outnumbered," Foster said. "For now," Donovan agreed, "but we've survived worse odds." The captain returned to the bridge where his crew fought to keep the Thunderchild in the battle. The Krasnar battlecruiser was larger and more heavily armed, but the human ship was faster and more agile. "Shields at 60%, reported the tactical officer. "The Krasnars are trying to target our engines." "Keep moving," Donovan ordered. "Don't give them a steady target. Use the planet's moon for cover when needed." On the surface of Proxima Centauri B, the battle continued. The Earth Defense Force soldiers who had landed were holding their positions against Krasnar ground troops. Colonel Kate Hudson, commander of the 4th Marine Expeditionary Unit, had established a defensive perimeter around the colony's spaceport. "The Mao, Krasnars keep coming," her second-in-command reported. "They don't seem to care about casualties." Hudson nodded. They've never faced an enemy that could truly hurt them before. They don't know how to respond to real resistance. A Marine called out, "Colonel, large enemy force approaching from the east, at least 200 Krasnars." Hudson looked at her tactical display. She had only 80 Marines with her. They were outnumbered more than 2 to 1. "Dig in," she ordered. "We hold this position until the fleet arrives." In space, the Thunderchild continued its dance with the Krasnar battlecruiser. Donovan had managed to damage the enemy's weapon systems, but his own ship was taking heavy hits. "Sir?" Miller called. "From communications, we're receiving a message from the Krasnar commander." "On screen," Donovan ordered. The face of a Krasnar appeared on the main display. Its gray-green skin was marked with battle scars and its yellow eyes showed contempt. "Human vessel," the Krasnar said. "I am Commander Vex of the Krasnar Empire. Your resistance is pointless. Surrender now, and I will allow your crew to live as slaves." Donovan's face showed no fear. "This is Captain Eric Donovan of the Earth Defense Force. We don't surrender to those who attack innocent colonies, and we don't take kindly to threats. You are one ship against a superior force," Vex said. "Soon my reinforcements will arrive and you will be destroyed." "Perhaps," Donovan replied calmly. "But so will you." He cut the transmission and turned to his tactical officer. "Target their bridge. Full power to forward weapons." The Thunderchild surged forward, taking more hits but closing the distance to the Krasnar ship. Its main weapons fired, the energy beam striking the enemy vessel's command section. The Krasnar battlecruiser's shields flickered but held. "Again," Donovan ordered. Before they could fire, sensors detected new arrivals in the system. "Sir?" the tactical officer said with alarm. "The Krasnar reinforcements are here. 2 battlecruisers just like the first one." Donovan's face remained calm. "Now the real fight begins. All crew to battle stations." The 2 new Krasnar ships moved to surround the Thunderchild, their weapons charged, ready to destroy the lone human vessel. "Sir," Miller said suddenly, "I'm detecting more ships entering the system. A lot of them." Admiral Reyes's voice came through the communication system. "Captain Donovan, sorry we're late. Traffic was terrible. Earth's Third Fleet had arrived 2 hours ahead of schedule. 20 warships of various sizes dropped out of faster-than-light travel and immediately moved to engage the Krasnar vessels." "Tactical Plan Delta," Admiral Reyes ordered the fleet. "Divide their forces and take them one at a time." The human ships moved with perfect coordination, splitting into 3 groups. The largest group, led by the Admiral's flagship Defiance, engaged the original Krasnar battlecruiser. The other 2 groups each focused on one of the new arrivals. On the Thunderchild's bridge, the crew cheered as reinforcements arrived. "Now that's a beautiful sight," Donovan said with a smile. "Let's get back in the fight." The battle for Proxima Centauri had entered its final phase. In space, the human fleet used tactics that confused the Krasnar commanders. Earth ships deliberately took damage to non-essential systems to create openings for their squadmates. They used mining charges as improvised weapons. They moved in unpredictable patterns that made targeting difficult. One human ship, the frigate Valiant, commanded by Captain Greg Martinez, had taken heavy damage. Its engines were failing, and its weapons were almost depleted. "Sir," his first officer said, "we need to withdraw for repairs." Martinez looked at his tactical display. The Krasnar battlecruiser they were engaging had suffered damage but was still operational. Its engines were exposed after a hit from another human ship. "No," Martinez decided. "We have one more job to do." He opened a channel to Admiral Reyes. "Admiral, requesting permission for a ramming maneuver on Target 2. There was a pause before Reyes responded. "Are you certain, Captain?" "Yes, ma'am. My crew will evacuate in escape pods. I'll stay to guide her in." "Permission granted," Reyes said solemnly. "Godspeed, Captain." The Valiant's crew evacuated while Martinez remained on the bridge. He set the ship's course directly toward the damaged section of the Krasnar vessel. "For Earth and Proxima Centauri," he whispered as his ship accelerated. The Valiant struck the Krasnar battlecruisers exposed, engines at full speed. The resulting explosion tore through both ships, destroying the Krasnar vessel and sacrificing the Valiant and her brave captain. On the surface, Colonel Hudson's Marines saw the explosion light up the sky. "Look at that," one of the Marines shouted. "One of theirs is down." New hope filled the defenders as they continued to hold off the Krasnar ground forces. Then their communicators activated with a message from Admiral Reyes. "All ground forces, reinforcements are on the way. Hold your positions. Viao." Sky filled with drop pods as the 4th Marine Expeditionary Unit's main force arrived from the fleet. 300 human Marines in combat armor landed directly in the midst of the Krasnar forces, disrupting their formations and creating chaos in their ranks. Colonel Hudson smiled as she saw the pods land. "Now, we take the fight to them. All units advance." The tide of the battle had turned. The Krasnars, who had never faced defeat before, didn't know how to respond to the human counterattack. Their rigid command structure fell apart under pressure, as their commanders were targeted by human snipers. In space, the 2nd Krasnar battlecruiser was crippled by concentrated fire from 5 human vessels. The 3rd, Commander Vex's original, ship turned to flee the system. "Oh no, you don't," Admiral Reyes said from the bridge of the Defiance. "All ships with functional engines pursue that vessel. It doesn't leave this system." The remaining human ships gave chase. The Krasnar battlecruiser was fast, but damage to its engines slowed it down. Before it could escape, the human ships surrounded it and opened fire from all sides. Its shields failed, and its hull began to break apart. Commander Vex sent one final message. "This is not over, humans. The Krasnar Empire will remember this day." His ship exploded moments later, ending the space battle for Proxima Centauri. On the planet, below, the remaining Krasnar ground forces surrendered as news of their fleet's destruction reached them. The colony was secure. Earth had won its first interstellar battle. As Foster stood with Ambassador Zelmore watching the Krasnar prisoners being processed, the ambassador said quietly, "The Alliance needs to understand what happened here. How? Earth fought when we were in need. This changes everything." Foster nodded. "We came because it was right. Because no one should be left for dead when help can be sent." The Earth forces had come through fire and fury, and the galaxy would never be the same.